Moira, this is your brother. You are an incredibly stupid psychopath. This car is falling. Well, this car is having an increasing number of problems, and it's obviously you paying criminals to somehow vandalize the car. So I can't use it. So you can have Steve Solari say, well, no, they said take the car back now that you have a car. Moira, you're going to prison, and you're decompensating. I had someone, for no apparent reason, confront me today at work and escalate it as if I was a discipline problem at work or otherwise disruptive. She implied that I was mentally ill. She made these accusations without stating anything specific that I had done to a supervisor. That is a lie of omission. She was also a bully because she escalated very quickly inside like 15 seconds. So she's a bully. And given how many people work here that probably have criminal convictions in other states, because Amazon doesn't check criminal convictions outside the state in which you're working, they check all federal convictions and state-level convictions in the state in which you're working. So these people could be convicted of homicide in another state and be working here if they'd gotten out at some point. And some of them look like they've served time in state or local state prison or, a house of correction. One of these scumbags who said she was a learning ambassador, but she wasn't wearing a blue vest, so who knows if she was wearing a blue vest. I was made to stand and wait for 10 minutes for someone else to show up, and I talked to them. And they just said, no, it's not going to be a problem. And so I won that round. They said it won't be reported to HR. They didn't write anything down. Now I come out here and my car this is happening. Can you hear that incredibly annoying noise? Moira, the brakes aren't working in this car correctly because the rear brakes are not appropriate for the car. I noticed it for a long time, but I put up with it. They're not strong enough for the car in some way, shape, or form. Now the anti-lock brakes are on constantly. That started a few days back. I think it was the 1st or the 2nd. And I reported it to HR to record the date. I also filmed it and sent you a film, I think. So you should see it. People on the highway have been trying to do a swoop and squat with me. They've been pulling in front of me on the highway. One of them was a Haitian. Literally looked like a Haitian. To me, he could have been anything, but he's black. His license plate had 3 Ds in it. I think I got a picture of it. Moira, this is not normal. This is not statistically possible. And it is also not possible that I am the cause of these problems. There is only one explanation for these problems. I have the right to sue you for $10 million. You are a pathologically passive-aggressive psychopath who goes through third parties, just like the junk luggers thing. You go through third parties, Moira. You go through Mom. You go through the junk luggers. You go through the woman who called herself a social worker who was with the Newton PD. Let's count. The woman who showed up the last time the Newton PD was at the house, she said she was a social worker. And she said, your sister is very concerned about you. And you have a history of mental illness. That includes delusions, right? Those were 2 things she said. You are not concerned for my welfare, Moira. Otherwise, you'd make sure I had enough money for food to eat, and would have made sure I got an inheritance. You are not concerned for my welfare. And you would have made sure, if, as you are probably alleging, that I am mentally ill, you would be making certain that I was getting mental health treatment. You're full of shit. And you go through third parties. The woman who called herself a social worker with the last time the Newton police were at the house. It was probably sometime in June, July, whatever. Probably in late July. I'm sure they have the date. The junk luggers, Mom, and I'm sure I can come up with a few others. So Moira, this is clearly you. This was clearly caused by you paying someone to do it. You, Mom, and the Greek mob. My cats are dead. They were poisoned to death. It's obvious who's behind it. Anyone who would financially benefit. That is you and the Greek mob, who went on a 6-week vacation this past summer when they've never been away like that before. They went someplace sunny. Elias Tembelopoulos made sure to take his shirt off and strut around in the front yard for a half an hour, with his youngest daughter never getting more than 7 feet away from him. That man is a child rapist. There's this incredibly creepy relationship between him and the daughter, and she occasionally returns to the house looking like she's incredibly depressed, returning from either a psychiatric ward or a mental health appointment. Hair unkempt, sweatshirt, depressed, staring out the window, head down, head in hands. That woman has serious psychological problems. And I don't have a lot of facts, but there's a reasonable and articulable suspicion and my gut instinct that says she's being raped repeatedly by her father. Now, I have been sending you lots of voicemails and other things, and recordings demonstrating what a fucking retardedly stupid psychopath you are. And you really are. And this is evidence thereof, that you are decompensating. You go through third parties, Myra. And you fear confrontation. Because I don't fear confrontation. I did it like 2 or 3 times today at work. Once with 2 supervisors, both of whom are crooked and probably working with a Brazilian drug gang and or a Haitian drug gang. I'm not afraid of confrontation at all. And you screamed at me we were going to the Woodbridge Mall. Bridgewater, Woodbridge Mall. And in south of us in New Jersey. And you were driving the brown Cutlass Brougham that Dad bought, the first car Dad bought after he got the job at Ambec. And you screamed at me. I was a senior in college and I was going to law school. And you screamed at me, how can you be a lawyer? You're afraid of confrontation. You're terrified of confrontation. I'm not terrified of confrontation, Moira. Not at all. I've confronted the Dartmouth PD once and talked them down. The Newton PD, 4 or 5, 6 times and talked them down. I talked down 2 supervisors today who were intent on firing me because they're working with drug dealers and want me out of this place. I am not afraid of confrontation at all. I was an assistant district attorney in court every day. Those are confrontations. It's a confrontational process. I was an emergency department tech where I helped tackle and restrain uncontrollable psych patients. That's a physical confrontation. I am not afraid of confrontation if it's appropriate, Maura. If it's legally and lawfully appropriate and ethical and moral, I'm not afraid of confrontation at all. You're terrified of confrontation, as evidenced by when you screamed at me when I was in my senior year of college when I had decided to go to law school. That was psychological projection. Ask a shrink, Maura. You really need a psychiatrist. That's called psychological projection. You're the one with the problem, and you say everyone else is the one with the problem. And the unusual occurrence here, the reason this situation is so upside down or topsy-turvy, is that you have Forrester Research, Qualtrics XM, and the Central Intelligence Agency and the Greek mob behind you. That's why this situation is so screwed up. You would have been in prison 10 years ago if you didn't have those powerful actors behind you, Moira. This is over. This is totally over. And you don't know it. Have a nice day, Moira. Have a happy holidays. Please tell Liam I said hello. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.